Hello everyone, it's Isaac Awosho. I have been asked to talk about my favorite session and information that I found useful from the just concluded college conference on composition and communication, or the 4Cs, and two-year college association TYCA conferences, which took place at the Hilton Hotel in Chicago from the 15th to the 18th of February 2023. In this video presentation, I would like to talk about focus on a session I attended at the TYCA conference, which is the Rhetorical Teaching Methods session. There were 3 presentations for this session, but due to time constraints, I would like to talk about one presentation in this session titled Argumentation and Empathic Understanding, Applying Rogerian Arguments in College Composition and the Contemporary Public Sphere, by John Dunn, who is an assistant professor at East Michigan University. John Dunn begins his presentation by discussing Matt Taibbi's popular book, Hate Inc. Hate Inc. Is a literature that he believes reveals a lot about what has gone awry about rhetoric in today's public sphere. We see the likes of one liberal icon and another conservative icon, and this image that we are familiar with, one representing Fox News and one representing MSNBC. He references Andre Lunsford's famous 1979 essay in the 4Cs titled Aristotelian versus Rogerian Argument, a Reassessment. He proposed a solution which is the application of Rogerian arguments in rhetoric in the public sphere. As a matter of practical suggestion, he goes on to walk his audience through how he gets his students to apply Rogerian arguments in the essays he gives them. And we were going to look at one essay, particularly the final project of his class. Now, as instructors, I'm sure most of us have had experiences where we give or expose our students to an article, a reading, or a video which they do not like and express a negative viewpoint about it to us in class or in the essay responses that they produce. Many of our students have various political slants, and this shows up even in the classroom. How do we respond to this apart from just making them right or discuss the pros and cons of each side of the arguments of both political or both ideological aisles? Well, here is how presenter John Dunn responds to this issue. So he assigns a final project which is based on a letter written to an author. The students will select an argument with which they do not agree, and they would respond. Their response will be based on principles of the Rogerian argument and their understanding of pathos and ethos. I would mention other notes about this particular assignment, John Dunn's final assignment. One is that it's a lot of scaffolding for students to compose a letter, and the letter also would accompany a rationale in which they would summarize their application of ethos and pathos and the Rogerian arguments, and also they would have to show the instructor where they applied the principles of Rogerian arguments in the essay. I think it takes a lot of scaffolding. Now, there's a lot of focus on pathos, ethos, and the Rogerian arguments. And I have a few takeaways. I call them my 5 key takeaways regarding this approach to teaching rhetoric in composition. The first is that we can prepare our advanced composition students to write persuasive letters utilizing Rogerian argumentative principles. I think it's doable. I also think that this can help students transfer certain skills. For instance, I spoke with John Dunn after his presentation was over, and for students who are interested in healthcare, as he he has students who are in a health care field, they can select a debate about a healthcare policy issue. And so I think this is something workable. Students can transfer certain skills to their major, to their interests, and to their career ambition. So this is good. I also think we can encourage students to find debatable policy arguments. Like I mentioned, the one that appeals to their interests or majors. And number three, we have to challenge our students to select debatable policies with which they do not agree. If students select the ones that they agree with, which I think they are more predisposed to do, then I do not think this would really work. They're more likely to be sympathetic towards policies that they agree with than the ones they do not agree with. And four, I think we must be prepared to support our students through multiple revisions and drafts for this to really work out. And then lastly, we must module the application of the Rogerian arguments, either through sample essays or through our expectations. Students need to know what this is going to look like. So this is a lot of scaffolding. And that sums up my take from this from TYCA conference, particularly in the session approaches to teaching rhetoric in composition. Thank you.